Today let's talk about early versus late pressure to start.
The turns being discussed here are the rhythm gates down the main pitch at Levy. This presentation originally aired on The Race Recap, Levy Slalom Day 2.
So I've drawn in a line from a typical course. Now we have a gate here, okay? Here we have the completion of the first turn coming into initiation. Notice at the initiation above the rise line of the gate, and that the turn is mostly completed by the gate and then completion down here. Early versus late pressure. This is something you hear a lot on the World Cup. What does early pressure mean? Well, it can mean a lot of things. Early pressure could mean starting pressure in the outside ski right here. I would argue that's not a good place to start pressure in the ski. Well, that could be seen as early pressure. Early pressure could also be seen as pressure right here. Now that early pressure would be pressure that is achieved after initiation, and to me that would be the pressure where you actually finally connect the outside ski to the snow and start carving it cleanly. Late pressure. Late pressure could be pressure right here. Late pressure. If early pressure is here, this could be late pressure here. I don't know what early and late pressure means, to tell you the truth. Unless you've defined this between you and the person you're talking to, there's really no way of deciding what early pressure and what late pressure you're talking about. So, let's move on to some other terms and hopefully try and clean this whole thing up. Above the gate skiing is when most of the turn is done above the gate. And you have direction going towards the next gate in the course, going by or around the gate you're going by. Below the gate skiing is when you are making that same movement and direction down here below the gate. Above the gate skiing, the top of the turn is being completed above the gate. Below the gate skiing, most of the turn is being completed below the gate. Okay? Above the gate skiing probably has early edge pressure. The early edge pressure that is out here. Okay? I would argue that most below the gate skiing comes from early edge pressure, the kind that comes up here. If you start pressuring the ski here, you start bending the ski into the turn, then here you realize you've come in too early, now you have to release the ski, slide it here to the point you get it here, now you start carving below the gate. Early edge pressure can lead to below the gate skiing. Late edge pressure can lead to above the gate skiing. The contradictories in skiing are endless. Okay? Now let's get into holding onto the edges. Holding on the edges is when you have a later edge pressure, which can also be early, and you start making that turn, but you keep turning down into here, or you keep pressuring the skis here, where not holding on the edges long or a quick edge release would be finishing the pressure somewhere up in here. So it's a quicker edge pressure here, and you're already starting to release the edges here, where if you're holding on the edges too long, you're continuing the same grit, the same intensity in your edging that you had up here, all the way down into here. And you can identify this a lot of times if you see a little bit of spray, extra spray, some like puffy spray coming off the skis as they're coming below the gate. Sometimes you'll actually see it as a little chatter from the skis as they're coming across it. But holding on the edges too long is having too much pressure and too much grip down here. Holding on the edges too long doesn't have so much to do with what's going on up here. Obviously, what's happening above the gate determines how things go below the gate. But you could come in with the same clean quality later edge pressure, but above the gate skiing, and still end up holding on the edges too long. Why do people hold on the edges too long? Sometimes it has something to do with fear. If they feel like they're moving too fast down the hill, they feel like they got to break below the gate a little bit more. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's a lack of confidence with the snow surface. It almost becomes a fear that coming into the next gate, you won't be able to switch your edges, grip, and get going in the other direction as easily. So you hold on to the old outside turn too long. I don't know. Paula Moulton was holding on to her edges too long. I think that her timing and initiation, early versus late pressure, I think was good up here. But at the end of the day, she was gripping it too long. She wasn't willing to release the ski somewhere in here to carry speed and momentum. This is a very small breakdown of a few turns. I hope you found it helpful. I hope we're a little more on the same page, even though finding out we're on the same page means I don't have all the answers and there's some things I simply don't know. But going through this and explaining the pieces, kind of finding some of the contradictories here, I think is important. So when you're watching a ski race and you're listening to the broadcast and you're hearing a lot of talk about early edge pressure, you're not misconstruing it, thinking that people are trying to start their turn early here to get a carve done. To me, I think what's trying to be said is that what I think they're trying to get at is the above the gate skiing. People who are above the gate skiing, we're calling early edge pressures, but it's not actually early edge pressure that's getting them above the gate. In fact, it's later edge pressure and a quicker initiation and cleaner ski to snow contact and carving that gets you above the gate skiing. So I hope you found that helpful. It's hard to talk through this without you asking questions for me back, but we're doing the best we can. And that's today's base skiing breakdown.
I hope you found this discussion helpful, and if you have any more questions, please put them in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. If you would like to watch the entire race recap episode, please follow the link here. Subscribe and like.